Beautiful, bustling Budapest, the capital of Hungary, the vibrant city, full of culture and history. Hungary also has a rich chess history, one full of great players. Now it hosts one of the world's most storied chess events, the Chess Olympiad. Every 2 years, players from almost 200 nations gather in one place. Their goal? Win glory for their country.
Taking a look at the pairings today. I mean, Danya, we have to talk over the board. Danya, I'm going to ask you a question while we're pieces of the Olympiad. Aside from, what are your thoughts there? Of great matches in
Iran, Vietnam,
and throw them into the trash. You know, if you're
right in front of the
disparity, you've got the sort of draw and loss is not an Arjun Arjun. I had to predict how this game is going to go. I think Wesley will aim to castle queenside, so I think he's likely to complete his development. Black is probably queens. The bishop is obviously going to move, but Vaishali might throw in e takes d5, bishop takes d5 first, and then has to decide whether she will seek this incredibly rich, very unique structure. Robert, this is a structure that only arises out of this particular variation in this particular, the Scotch Gambit. We can point that moment out. So we don't have the time to delve into the entire game. So I'm going to bring us in to the important moment, Robert. There was a Ruy Lopez.
I think that Black is going for exactly what you're talking about. B5, B4. If you could get those two moves in, Black does gain the upper hand.
Opponent was born. They're getting younger and younger, but this, of course, is the big question mark for Vietnam and for the youngster. A chance to this is equal, because I trust these top guys so much that no matter how unbalanced the position is, I'm like, it's equal. And when I say dynamic, the center pawn, you take it, have it. E takes d5, now tucking the bishop away and opening up this pressure on d5, and now g4 to push the knight away from. He's looking at that d6 pawn and asking it, like, would you be my Valentine? So, Magnus will have to whip up some complications here. We'll see how. Totally with you, partner. This is where the action is at. Christensen, of course, renowned for his opening prep, but not this time.
Because for me, Johann Sebastian.
Sacrificing one of the queens, and no, you do not promote. You actually give a check on b1 and take the rook on e1. And I just want everybody to look at this position. Knight takes e1, g takes f6. Why does an entire army of pieces, and he cannot stop this lonesome a-pawn from promoting itself into a queen, but in 2010. So this is a guy who's no stranger, much like Pentala Harikrishna. Who's been close.
Happen. A rook lift, rook e3, knight d4, rook g3, things like that are going to happen. White is calling the shots in this game, Danya, and for
Keaton, I think, which is going to become really big because there's 13 moves to the time control, 13 very complicated moves. But why is rook a5 so important? It's not because the rook is hanging. It's not hanging. You're going to get mated on g7. It's the crazy thing is that even if White parts ways with the exchange, the endgame is still bad for Black just because White has two pawns and a monster sitting on c5. Even queen b2, the bishop pair, and then out of the clear blue sky, bam, knight takes f7, just giving the knight seemingly for nothing. No, not for nothing.
Because this is actually unreal. Danya, not just the tactics that we're seeing here on Jorden Van Foreest, right? We've got...
Just so sad to watch, but
as you see that, it's just a position where all the pieces have come off and the rooks might come
one of the top spots.
Yeah, so much has been said about this Indian roster.
The other pawn on c3 falls. No, this is White maybe has to try a move like g5, just desperately stirring up some counterplay on the king side. But Robert, bishop takes g2 threatens mate on h1 and h3.
It does look very straightforward indeed.
Yeah, the position plays itself, right? The most tiresome cliche adopted by lazy.
Look at the time. He is in some huge time trouble. 5.5 minutes when you have to make 13 more moves, and in this position, which can get sharp. I think somehow, but Black has all isolated pawns. In the F pawn's case, they're double isolated pawns. So this is a horrible pawn structure, but Black has the pair of bishops.
One last pitfall to avoid. He had to move the knight either to g4 or to d5, and he maintains a drawn position. he took the pawn. And with 40 minutes on the clock, allowing a one-move fork, Robert, rook f7, maybe he hallucinated that it's the wrong color pawn, but it's the right color pawn. The tragedy of this is that you just cannot get to this last pawn, whether or not you trade rooks. If you go rook f3, rook h3, the white rook just picks up the g pawn. That's it. It's game, set, match, folks. Well, not match, but just game.
USA is on their way to a resounding, a remarkable victory. Levon Aronian here with the white pieces. It seems like the advantage is all the way up. And Daniel, I see your arrow, queen to e2. His position is... What was it?
As I said, he did not... Oh, he found a different way to win a piece.
Okay, because there's a queen b6 check with e5 at the end of that sequence.
It looks like he should have... Wow, rook to d3 apparently was the best move. This is sick. Knight to b3 also strong. He put the knight on d3, so right square wrong piece. And although it keeps an advantage, it gives Wei Yi a very clear roadmap. He does triple on the b file, putting maximum pressure on this pawn. Gukesh deploys his rook to d1.
Push your pawn to the second rank, the 7th, from Black's perspective, one square away from promotion. So that would be very tempting to me. Later, if the white queen, anxiously at the top board, hoping that his board won, Lemle can score victory, but that game is long to go. A game that may not have that much longer to go, done up for now. That knight on h7, it looks menacing, but it's also under attack by currently 2 black pieces. And if we get queen e7, Danya, that knight...
Trying some shenanigans, but they didn't go very far. Rook to d1, pinning the knight. White takes one bishop, takes the other bishop, but even though white is technically...
Thanks, guys. We're here with Grandmaster Peter Leko of Hungary, the legend. First thing I want to ask you, what's it like to play an Olympiad in your home country?
Yeah, very special, of course. I'm getting so much love and so much support from the fans. But I also try to isolate myself completely so that I'm trying to save up all my energy for the games.
You got Richard Rapport back, which is a huge boost to the team. And I don't like to ask Judith this anymore, but did you at least make one offer for Judith to play?
No, I don't think so. I guess she was also not signaling, yeah? And it was already kind of adventurous enough that I returned. But yes, it was very important that Richie also comes back and we have the best lineup possible. And we want to fight, and I think we have a very good chemistry. Everybody's fighting for everyone, so this is very important.
And today you beat Lithuanian Grandmaster, the youngster, Pultinovičius. You're up 1-0 at the time of this interview. You guys are locked into board 2 as per the rule of the event, but you've earned board 2. Do you feel like Hungary's playing a little bit above your personal expectations, or is this where you expected to be?
No, we have no expectations. The only expectation is that we want to fight against any team. So, of course, yeah, losing to India was kind of... well, one could say expected, but the match wasn't so easy. So if you look at the score, it's 3-1. I played a good game against Prague, but I still missed a bit of confidence to maybe hope for more. And okay, India is just way too strong. I mean, they are just very strong and very young, very determined, brilliantly prepared. They have also fantastic chemistry. So it's a very tough team for anyone to beat.
Absolutely. All right, well, there you go. Nobody's beaten India in the Open or the Women's, but today, in a little bit of a battle of generations, I'm kind of glad my generation won. Thanks, Petter, for your time.
Thanks a lot.
Back to you guys.
It was either a draw, a win for one player, or the win for another player. I'm not trying to spoil anything.
I mean, we've got a square on the board highlighted in red with some big question marks on it, so I'm wondering if we've just seen something really dramatic.
Looks like a draw. Sarana accompanied his blunder on the 41st move with the draw for... Now, John, the fact that Van Foreest actually came all the way back is crazy in itself. He went down a rook, recovered to create massive counterplay.
To break through and win, but G5 apparently is the breakthrough here that lets white not just continue, but go on to win the game as well. This is
their country proud just by showing up, but they said that's not enough for us. We don't want any consolation prizes. We don't want... It seems to have enough to hold, and I think it's because, well, the game might even be over. It seems like there's somebody, an arbiter coming in. Maybe we've actually had this position repeat, but objectively speaking, Black isn't even winning. That might mean that this could be a draw for Black with best play.
Yeah, the bar is fence sitting, but of course never wants us to realize that it doesn't know the evaluation. There's only one question, is to swing this knight over to d4, but white is just too active, and black could very well get checkmated here as well, right? If you go for d4, the rook suddenly swings over and attacks a much juicier target, and it doesn't take much here. Cruising to victory.
And
wow, just domination.
In a big one for India.
Also, I'm proud to announce, but we'll get to that in a second. Alice needs no introduction. This position needs no explication because it's actually a really cute idea, Robert, because black can stop the c-pawn, but it's this position. Wait, but 28 seconds for Lily.
I was the ratings of the players. They're actually all very close to one another. So 2-2, a fighting draw is the likely outcome here. No draws in the individual games, a tied match overall. So in this game, Danya, the big question is, can black hold this, or will white's space advantage allow her to secure a full point? My first question, Danya, is how is this move 44? This looks like we're on move 20.
Wait, yeah, this is move 44? What? How did they manage to make 44 moves? This looks almost like it is the early middle game. I totally agree. Robert, this is such a missed opportunity for Lithuania because in this position, all Laurusas needed to do to avoid losing is take on h7, liquidating up a piece. And what he must have missed in time pressure is that after queen e8, king g7, he is threatening a back rank mate on b1, and white has to waste a tempo making Luft. The white queen is driven away, and Laurusas would have won this game. 4 or 5 of the Olympiad, Robert.
And for Maurizi, what a big win for...
Incredible. The youngster, I think, from the island of Corsica, if I'm not mistaken. But Maurizi, he has the last laugh. I think he has this under control. And
very nicely together. For example, if you just draw an arrow from the knight on c3 to the knight to the e2 square, those knights defend each other. The g3 pawn is defended as well. The king now is...
Playing hall where you're thinking, oh, actually, there's like a little bit of a dent in the armor, or at
rook e8, or in the event of h3, king g7, king f6, king e7, the game is over. This is automatic. He could play this while skydiving, but he played the inexplicable rook before wasting a tempo, moving the rook to the most undesirable possible square, which provides no shelter for the white king. Performed. I will make the moves here, knight e5, king d8, Robert, f6, and Wei Yi with his back against the wall. With time ticking down, he might lose this game. Rook f1 apparently loses. He has to find rook d1 check.
And it looks like we're going, zooming in and out, the f6 pawn coming
oh my gosh.
One step closer. Rook d1, you're saying, is the only move?
It's the, Robert, if he goes rook f1, we're gonna get two queens on the board.
He pushed h3, Danya.
Oh my gosh, goodness. We're going to get 2 queens on the board.
So what's going to happen here? F7 will be played by white. Can you put the move h3 on the board? It's been played. Oh my gosh.
F7, rook f1. White's going to route the knight back to f3 to slice off the connection between the black rook and the f-pawn. Black will promote, but white will promote with check and very likely a mating attack on the black king. Oh my frickin' lands.
And what's so crazy is f7 has been played, so we can see that on the board, is that the knight will go to g5 with tempo against the h-pawn. It will slide back to f3 with tempo against the h-pawn, and that's the critical difference, is that black does not have time to step the king out to e7, because then the h-pawn will drop.
King e7 loses on the spot. Rook f1 is forced. Robert, you're right, this is incredible. Knight g5, as you said, hits the h-pawn, and guess what? It's the presence of the silent pawns on a4 and a5. That is what disallows black from giving up his rook for white's f-pawn. Otherwise, just throw that rook away. But because of the a-pawns, that defensive resource is taken away. This is unimaginable. Wei has made a move, and I think it's rook f1.
It is, in fact, rook f1. And the one thing that is, as my commentator brain is trying to stay on here, is the bar isn't through the roof. And because it's where it is, that to my eyes looks like a +2, +3 territory. Is there a way for black to, say, track down the a-pawn and then sacrifice the rook for the f7 pawn? Is there enough time for that? Knight g4, rook takes a4, knight f6, so the rook can't...
Together, they'll end it together. Wei Yi cannot believe his eyes.
Oh, and a huge issue is that if the rook takes the pawn on a4 and gives a check on the d-file, and he may have just killed China's chances while lifting India's, because India is in the clear lead at this Olympiad, and that was a momentous occasion, a monster victory for Gukesh and Wei.
Bardia Daneshvar was controlling the game the whole time. Credit to Minh for holding the draw.
But by average team rating. So India in the women, they should be thrilled at the moment as well.